speaker today is Johane. Uh, Johane was born and raised in Swaziland, and he attended Waterford Kamhlaba UWCSA. He is currently a he's currently studying a master's in public health and policy management at Columbia University, Mail School of Public Health in New York. Johane earned his bachelor's degree in public health at Skidmore College, where he was involved in multiple community projects focusing on health education, conducted community-based research looking at perceptions of male circumcisions in related to HIV, in which he was a principal investigator. He also conducted multiple community projects in Swaziland, some of which he's going to talk to us about. So, Johane, we're at all ears.
Thank you so much, SP. Again, we apologize for starting so late. As SP has mentioned, I was born and raised in Swaziland. As some of you may know, Swaziland has the highest rate of HIV/AIDS and high unemployment rate of about 40%. And according to the World Bank, 63% of the population live below the poverty line. You know, growing up in Swaziland, I fell in some of these statistics. I lived under poverty. And as you can imagine what goes on in every child's mind who's living under poverty. I wanted to grow up, have a lot of money, own a big house, and have lots and lots of food. Somehow this actually kept me on my toes at school, and I performed really well. It wasn't until I started at Waterford, a UWC Fall college in Swaziland, that I was pushed outside my selfishness. I had to conduct community services, something that wasn't familiar with me. I was always at the other end, where I was receiving help from others. And at this point, I had to be on the opposite side. This actually slowly shifted my thinking to the point where I was thinking more about what can I do to better my community instead of what can I do to earn lots of money and food. As you can imagine, this actually, for some reason, didn't push my grades that much, but my grades were still okay. Overall, I really like the concept of community service, and I thought that if most Swazi youth were involved in community services, our communities would be way advanced. I saw community service as a way to empower youth to be responsible citizens and to encourage them to be involved in development of their communities. I shared these views with friends, and it ended up leading to us starting an initiative which was aimed at helping youth find resources to support their initiatives in their communities. But this is not the project that I will highlight today. I want to highlight a project which was a result of me being involved with different community groups in Swaziland. So I had worked with a soup kitchen, serving meals and teaching English to HIV orphans. They faced challenges as some youth in the community broke into the soup kitchen to steal the donated food. Clearly, that was a result of the high poverty and unemployment rates that I was talking about earlier. So I wanted a way in which we can bring together the youth in the community, encourage them to be more responsible, you know, and take ownership of communal spaces like the soup kitchens they were breaking into. So I worked with a friend to design a strategy which sought to bring the community, not just the youth, but everybody in the community, to build a community soccer field, which everybody in the community thought was really valuable. For those who may not know, community fields can be used from just playing soccer into being an educational center where you have different activities where everybody in the community can come together and learn about a lot of things. And in my case, I was hoping that it would provide a space where you can have, more HIV education. So we wrote a grant proposal, because we wanted to take this a step further, where the youth had to feel even more responsible in other places besides the soccer field. In addition to what they had to do was to renovate the soup kitchen that they were breaking into. So this grant proposal that we wrote at the end of it all, it was awarded a total of about $13,000, and it was implemented the summer of 2010. There were multiple challenges that came with doing this project. With this project. Number one, it was selling the idea to other people who could help me make it possible. And the solution that I approached was to make sure that I approached people that were kind of different from me, that they had different skills, they have different view of the world, so that they can keep me in check. If I want to do something that might be not idealistic, they'll help me realize that actually this will not work. And in this case, we worked together to make something that was, more beneficial. The other challenge that we face, particularly in the soccer field project, was bringing people from different parts of the community to work in one goal. And the problem is that this was a big community, and people from different sides of the community were actually beefing about each other. So we had to actually kind of start with some kind of a conflict resolution sessions. A third challenge that I can highlight was that the project, excuse me. The third project is that it was really difficult, as I mentioned, that this was a big community. It was difficult to find a centrally located area where we can place the field. And that was something that we couldn't really deal with ourselves. Everybody wanted the field to be on their side, and you can imagine it was starting to be a heated argument when we were having meetings with the youth. And we had to bring in community leaders to come in and help us identify a centrally located area. And this is to highlight that even if you are a leader in your own project and you're nurturing your own goal, your own dreams, make sure that you know when you cannot handle things. You know when to seek outside help for support. And what's next? What's next in this project? I think I can highlight that my career has shifted from when I was a child growing up in rural areas. Now my career is dedicated to making changes in the community, improving health by empowering communities to make healthy lifestyle choices. I'm particularly interested in understanding models of healthcare delivery that will ensure high quality of care with the limited resources that communities have. Actually, as a matter of fact, with the limited resources that countries have. I personally do not see resources increasing anytime soon. So creative minds like yours will help come up with the best solutions. And you don't necessarily have to wait for your master's or PhD program to speak your mind. It starts now. You can do something in your community today. And I also just want to highlight that I didn't want to prepare a long speech or anything. I wanted this to be some kind of discussion. I have highlighted just the things that I did, and if there are any questions from there, I want to use that for us to dive in deeper into my experience. SP, do you have any questions that are coming towards you? Can you hear me? Now I can't hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, okay. So Johane is inviting us to start asking questions right now, and basically wants us to start a discussion to talk about projects, challenges that we are facing, how can we overcome them, and just ask him too how he overcame certain challenges while implementing his project. So we can just start with the questions right now and start discussing. Yeah, I think you can continue talking about your projects, more challenges, and hopefully we'll get questions as you continue with your lecture.
Well, I'd cut down in multiple other projects, so I can mention my interest in improving healthcare system in Swaziland. I've worked in projects where I think you mentioned earlier that I was working with the Ministry of Health to understand HIV interventions, particularly male circumcision. I think challenges came more in projects like those where you had to deal with the government. There are more steps that you have to take in making things happen. And I think the more interesting thing and encouraging thing is that people are always willing to help you. People will come through to make things happen. I didn't have much experience in research except a few classes that I had taken in undergrad. And I didn't know the process that I had to go through to have a research proposal approved. But the ministry itself, they came through in providing all the resources that I can and giving me directions where I should or how I can go about sampling, And again, I think this goes to the main challenge of selling your ideas. I think I cannot stress enough that if you want things to happen, if you want to make a difference, share your ideas. Know who to talk to. Not everybody is going to help you nurture your idea, but if you don't give up, if you don't believe in anything, someone is going to come through to help you. And I can also highlight that we all have stories. We all have stories that can help us drive passion. If you look around you, look around the world, there's a lot that you can find passion about and make a difference. And being involved in community projects it helps you learn. It's a learning experience. It's one thing that you have to take when you go out there. You're not going out as a helper. Like, I'm going to help this community. They're struggling there and there, and that's that. You're going out there to also learn. Give those people the respect, and you're going to benefit a lot, And I really encourage everybody to take steps towards being involved in one way or the other. And SP, you've been involved in some of the projects that I've worked with. You can say more and highlight some of the things that were challenges. I know it was a huge challenge to manage a group during that project. You were one of the people who were always, you know, dragged into situations in community where people are not trying to get to, you know, we're trying to convince them that what we're trying to do in the community will benefit everybody, but some just want something that will benefit themselves. It was also challenging to manage a group of students. You in particular were in charge of students from Waterford to make sure that they come to the community service. That wasn't something that is easy, but it took dedication and patience. Is there anything that you would like me to highlight?
At the moment, we have questions.
Okay.
Yep, one of the question is, what was the biggest challenge you had to fight while doing your project?
So the project of the soccer field, one biggest challenge that um, I had to fight more often was with contractors. We had to contract we had to contract people to, you know, graders to come clear the land and all that. That was one of the hectic things. And I think some people take advantage if they see you to be young. They just come to work and not do anything, and later be like, "Oh, we're done. Your hours are done." And that was one big thing that I had to step up to, stand my ground, and say, "This is what we want to achieve, and we want to achieve it by this time period." And I think biggest challenge was sticking to the work plan that we have. A lot of people were just trying to take their time. I hope that answers the question.
Another question that we have is, how will you overcome having no support or little interest of other people in your project? Any help to make my project more appealing?
I think I mentioned earlier that um, before you even go to the implementation phase, recruit people that will be on your side. My best advice is that don't recruit people who have the same skills as you, who have the same interest as you. Find people who see the world different than you do. Find people who are in different fields. For instance, I am in public health. When I was working on my project, I was working with someone in business and economics. I was working with people who were in biochemistry and stuff like that. So I think finding 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 those kind of people will help. Also, tell your story before you try to convince other people. Know why you're doing what you do. If you're doing something that you cannot, you know, stand your crowd to and have a 5-minute elevated pitch, it's going to be challenging for you to convince other people. But again, ask for help, share your ideas with others, help them develop them.
Yep. Another question.
Hmm.
I have a project that is kind of complex. I want to find out just how much chemicals are refineries throwing away into the air in my town. But to
Okay.
do that, the information I need is somehow private, and I'm 99% sure they will not help me.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out, is that working with the government?
I mean, this guy, he's asking like he wants to ask industries. He wants to figure out how much chemicals are the industries throwing into his town or her town.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
the challenge that he's having is that to get the information about the chemicals,
Mhm.
to require her to go to these private companies, and
Yeah.
these private companies might not be willing to reveal such information.
Yeah, I think that's a big issue everywhere. It varies by country, by state, whatever policies are in place for those companies. Definitely, you have a point. They are definitely not going to be willing to open up and tell you whatever that they are they're excreting to the environment. I think the first step is to understand the policy that is in place. Is there anything that they are allowed to share with the public? Is there a limit of how much they can they can pollute, or is there a limit of how much chemicals they can take out into the sea? And also, I think you're right. This is a really complex project that you cannot necessarily work on by yourself. You have to figure out more other bigger organizations that are environmental protection agencies.
Yeah. Um, so another one more question. I did my project thinking large scale, building complex for the community. I feel it's very large. I feel it's a very large project for a young man like me.
Mhm.
That I want to do, that I want for the future. But will I need a more concrete or a simple project?
I personally start small. I don't. The other important thing about projects is to make realistic goals for you. If you feel like your project is too big for you or too complex for you, and you might want to cut it down. Probably the big idea that you're working on, it's not bad. It's not big if you create a realistic timeline. When do you wanna achieve the goal that you have put to yourself? If you say you wanna build a house within 2 days, that's too big for you. If you say by 2018, I want to have raised money to build a house for that lady next door, I think that is possible. So again, even if it's big, you can create a realistic timeline and make sure that you're flexible. If you work with other people or introduce your ideas to other people, make sure you're willing to take advice and update it, you know, from time to time. Projects change. If you have a big project that you wanna do over a long period of time, know that is going to evolve. You know, and I hope that is clear that there's no big project if you create the right timeline. It's good to dream big, but for those big dreams to happen, there has to be small dreams that build up to that big dream.
Yeah. Those are all the questions that we have.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. So thank you very much, Johane, for taking time from your busy schedule and to give us an insight on how to manage a project from the beginning till the end. We have challenges along the way and how you overcame them. We really appreciate that information. And just to the students, I would like to say thank you so much, guys, for your patience. Today
Yeah.
we had big challenges. We had big technical challenges, And thank you for your patience. Thanks for attending the classes. And you guys had really wonderful questions. So as you know, we're going to post this lecture on our YouTube account. Feel free to go there and watch it again if you missed something or you joined late. So that will be it for today.
And SP,
Yeah,
please feel free to share my email. I would like to stay in touch with those that are working in projects from time to time, and if there are more follow-up questions.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely share Johanne's email address, so you'll be able to get in touch with him. If he's not replying your emails, or maybe you think he's not getting your emails, just send them directly to me. I'll be able to connect the two of you. So, yep. Thanks, Johane, for offering your time to help with the project. I'll say also there are already projects on our website, OCF, under projects. You'll see a lot of projects there, and we can also connect to the students there.
Okay.
So, yep, that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Have a good night, Johane. Thanks again. Bye.